based on the utility of this biodiversity, various values have been assigned. Now, next value will be the recreational value of biodiversity, which cannot be measured in terms of money. What is recreational value? Suppose you look at the beauty of the nature, beauty of any plant or animal species, either their behavior or their appearance or their dancing or their breeding or any such thing. When you see, you derive a lot of pleasure looking at it. So that value, you call it as recreational value, which cannot be measured in terms of money. When you look at a peacock, they being dancing, isn't it? So the pleasure that you derive, it cannot be equated in terms of money or estimated in terms of money. So that value, you call it as recreational value. And the aesthetic value, after looking at the sight of an animal or a plant or their movements or the nature, so you will be inspired to write something, art or poetry or literature or something else like that. So that inspired aspect of citing the biodiversity and doing something is called the aesthetic value of biodiversity. One minute. Is the slide moving? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Slide is moving, you know?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, so that value, you call it as the aesthetic value. Even look at the national poet like Kuvempu. So they are all inspired by the beauty of nature. That's how they become the, what we can say, the greatest poets and the literates being inspired by the beauty of nature. So probably if you have seen that Kuppalli, rather than seeing now 40, 50 years back how it was, you just imagine the pristine beauty of the nature which has inspired them to write so many things. So even Wordsworth has become nature's poet because he was inspired by the beauty of the nature.
Bandage dressing bandage
So that please, in between, don't. So such type of value of biodiversity, you call it as the aesthetic value. So you know that, for example, if you look at a climber, and if you look at the walking of a lady, you will say, Balliyante Balakuvale, Hamsadante Nadeyuvale. You will be inspired, isn't it? To write something poetic language or something else like that. That value of biodiversity, you call it as the aesthetic value. And the most important value of biodiversity is the scientific value. So, wherein the biodiversity provides varieties and varieties of the individuals of different species. So, which you would put together, call it as the gene pool. So, according to your choice, you can go for selection of anything. So, selection of a material, selection of a product, selection of a partner, anything that can be possible. So, whenever there is a greater gene pool. So, greater the gene pool, greater will be the diversity. There will be choice for you, so that value leads to the evolution of a new species, and greater the gene value, greater the varieties, greater the organisms, greater the number of individuals. So greater will be the chances for what we can say to make a choice of your selection for your product. That value, you call it as the scientific value. So thus, based on their utility, so biodiversity can be a commercial value or a biological value. It has been assigned recreational value, aesthetic value, scientific value, etc. Now, an ecologist and an economist have worked together, and they could estimate what would be the importance or the value of a tree that lives for 50 years. It has been estimated that a tree that lives for 50 years is capable of generating about 5.3 lakhs worth of oxygen. A tree in its 50 years of time, it gives out of oxygen, and that estimation, the amount of oxygen that is going to be liberated is worth about 5.3 lakhs. And a tree that lives for about 50 years is capable of controlling soil erosion, which is estimated to be around 6.4 lakhs. That means whenever a tree has been grown, whenever the plants are grown, through their root system, they are going to bind the soil together. They bind the soil together through the root system. It never allows when the trees or plants are being planted very nearby, and through their root system, when they hold the soil together, soil erosion is controlled. So that is, by a single tree, it is worth about 6.4 lakhs. And a tree that lives for 50 years in its life, for 50 years period of time, it can control air pollution. That is, various particulate matters or any such pollutants, it is going to absorb through its foliage, through its leaves, through its stems, through its branches. Likewise, so it is capable of absorbing the various pollutants and capable of giving you oxygen. So that worth, that is the air pollution control, is estimated to be around 10.5 lakhs. And a tree that lives for 50 years can give shelter for birds and other animals, which is estimated to be around 5.3 lakhs. And a tree that is living for 50 years recycles about 6.4 lakhs worth of fertility. That means through its branches, twigs, leaves, flowers, whenever it is going to be falling, so it undergoes decomposition to form the what? Compost like, natural manure like it is going to form. And added to that, it is also capable of fixing atmospheric nitrogen. So thus, by overall, with all these process, it enriches the fertility of the soil, which is worth about 6.4 lakhs. In addition to this, a tree that lives for 50 years can provide flower, fruit, timber, and all these things. So if you cut a tree, it is as good as you are going to lose 33.9 lakhs rupees. So a tree is worth more than 33.9 lakhs when it is going to be felled. So this is what an ecologist and economist have worked out over a decade's time and could arrive at what would be the value of a tree that is living for 50 years. Now, if you just have a glance at as to how many trees are there in India, so I will just give you the example of a few countries here. I am highlighting. Say, look at among the highly populous countries, India has a tree population of only 35 billion trees, just leading to about 28 trees per person. So in India, we are having just 28 trees per person, which is insufficient for many purposes. And compared to Brazil, Brazil has 301 billion trees, 1,494 trees per person. And Canada is having 8,953 trees per person. And look at our neighbors, China is having about 102 trees per person, with 139 billion trees being present in their country. But in India, we do have very less number of trees per person, 28 trees per person. So the per capita is very less. Now, because we know that our forests are the water fountains. So it is from the forest resources wherein we can see the catchment of the water, rainwater, or natural rainwater harvesting also will be taking place. So they get pooled in streams, pools, lakes, everywhere, and they provide a drinking water for over about 1/3 of the world's largest cities. The drinking water is going to be supplied by our forests. And 1/3 of the world population, or about 2.4 billion people, make use of wood. So they use wood of the plants, especially as firewood, as the source of energy. So this energy is being used for cooking or for boiling water or for eating. So throughout the world, about 2.4 billion people are using this wood energy from the forest. And whenever there is an increase in the concentration of carbon dioxide in our environment, so trees are the one which are the best biofilters of various pollutants, including carbon dioxide. So they are capable of absorbing 2 billion tons of carbon dioxide each year. And I will tell you, trees are the best biofilters of pollution. They are the one which can absorb carbon dioxide, and they are the one which can purify the air and can give out oxygen. So look at the immense value of the trees that is being present in and around us. So an estimated 50% of the fruit that we eat come from trees. Now, if such biodiversity are going to be lost, what would be its impact in our surrounding, in our environment? What would be the ecological consequences of reduction in biodiversity? So, we know that trees are the one which can absorb carbon dioxide. At the same time, if this carbon dioxide sink, so when it absorbs, we call this trees are the sink of carbon dioxide. So when trees are going to be felled, or if there is a decrease in tree cover, the concentration of carbon dioxide increases in the atmosphere. When carbon dioxide concentration increases in the atmosphere, in addition to this carbon dioxide, methane gas is also going to be given out. We know that we are having lots of cattle population. Through their excretory materials like cow dung and etc., the methane gas is going to be released into the atmosphere. And day to day we are using air conditioners, air coolers, etc., through which we are releasing chlorofluorocarbons, chemicals like CFCs. So by the usage of that one, this chlorofluorocarbons, when it is released into the atmosphere, it reacts with the ozone layer and depletes the ozone layer. It breaks the ozone molecules. One chlorofluorocarbon CFC molecule that is released from a refrigerator or an air cooler is capable of destroying 1 lakh molecule of ozone. 1 lakh molecule of ozone. So we know that ozone layer, whenever it is present in the stratosphere, it is acting as a protective layer for us. It prevents the ultraviolet radiations being penetrating into the earth. So thus it acts as an umbrella ozone layer for preventing the entry of UV radiations. But if that ozone layer is going to be depleted, naturally the UV radiations will penetrate, and if it is going to fall on the plants and animals, including human beings, so various health hazards are going to be resulted, including cataract, cancer, etc. are going to be resulted. And additionally, when the UV radiation strike the surface Earth's temperature is also going to be increased. So thus, by the decrease of the forest cover, carbon dioxide concentration is going to be increasing, methane is going to be generated due to the large number of cattle, and through human activities like usage of refrigerator and air coolers, we are releasing CFCs which deplete the ozone layer, and through various industries, we are releasing oxides of nitrogen, which is also responsible for causing the global warming and the greenhouse effect. All these things are going to be possible whenever there are no trees. So this is what is the primary and the basic and the most dangerous, right, ecological consequence that we can see due to the reduction in biodiversity. And when the trees are going to be cut, so pollution will be increasing. Look at earlier, all along the roadside or the railway track side, they used to plant. So the trees used to be there. So these trees used to provide stability to the structure of the soil, and also whenever these rail engines or the vehicles are moving, the smoke that is given out from these automobiles or the rails, so it used to be absorbed by the adjacent trees, the trees which were there on either side of the railway track or on either side of the roads. Thereby they used to purify the air and decrease the pollution. But today we have cut the trees all along the roadside and railway track side, and we are widening the roads, and as a result of which, what is happening? There is an increased pollution. Now, if the trees are going to be cut, so the top soil is exposed, and when there is high wind velocity or flooding, the top fertile soil is removed. So soil erosion takes place. Loss of fertility of the soil will be there. So if there is no fertile soil, it does not support the growth of any plants or crop plants or vegetation. That is another ecological consequence of reduction in biodiversity. And even whenever the temperature is altered, even the decomposition rate, that is the microorganisms, bacteria, they all carry out their activities at certain temperature. So even for decomposition, they need an optimal temperature. So when the temperature is increased too much, if the bacteria themselves do not survive, how can you expect the decomposition? So thus, decomposition rate of the by microbes may get altered. So likewise, the nutrient cycling. So whatever the absorption of nutrients from the soil to the plants and the plants to the storage organs. So all these activities are going to be disturbed and distracted. So if food energy is not available properly, the dependents like herbivores which are dependent upon the plants, green plants, they may die, and the animals which are dependent upon the herbivores, they may die. So likewise, the food chain also get altered. And we know that today the precipitation or rainfall, if at all it has to take place normally, an ideal forest cover of 33% must be there in any geographical area. Otherwise, what happens is that, so there may be a decreased rate of precipitation or rainfall. An expected rate of rainfall may not take place. Now we know that plants absorb water from the soil, and through the process of transpiration, that is the excess of water is removed from the plants through the openings in the plants, they are called stomata. So through the openings in the leaves of stomata, it is going to be released into the atmosphere. That process we call it as transpiration. And also we know that the water body, right, either from the soil or from the water surfaces or water bodies, is getting evaporated. So through evaporation and transpiration, the water vapors get accumulated in the atmosphere, get condensed, and then reaches back to the earth as rainfall or precipitation. And once again, after rainfall, when it falls onto the soil, so the soil absorbs, and from the soil plants absorb. Once again, from the plants, excess of water will be removed through transpiration, and also from aquatic water bodies, evaporation, so that it is a continuous, in a cyclic manner, evaporation and transpiration is taking place, so that that type of phenomenon you call it as hydrologic cycle. Now it is a normal way that is taking place. Now suppose you cut the trees. So how the excess of water absorbed by the plants can able to reach the atmosphere? So there will be no transpiration. The rate of transpiration decreases. And in aquatic water bodies, suppose you pollute it with, say, petroleum products, oil, diesel, grease, and nuclear materials, like that, during various washing purpose, domestic activities. So likewise, if you pollute the water, so the water does not get evaporated to an expected rate, So that is also going to alter the hydrologic cycle. Suppose you want to test how water is going to play an important role in hydrologic cycle. Take 2 glasses of water. In one glass, you put oil over the surface of water. In another glass, don't put oil, and keep both the glass containing water, one containing only water, another containing water and oil on its surface. After 1 week, if you observe, where there will be the decrease in the water level? Can you tell me? Where there will be a decrease?
Only water, sir.
Only water. That means the water start getting evaporated there, and wherever the glass containing water and oil, the water cannot get evaporated, because the oil which is floating on the surface of the water, it prevents the evaporation. So that is the simplest way you can try to compare the same thing globally in our aquatic ecosystems. So this phenomenon is going to alter the hydrologic cycle. So these are the ecological consequences of reduction in biodiversity. Way back in the year 1900, the concentration of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere was 282 ppm. 282 ppm in the year 1900. Now today how much we are seeing? See, look at, almost it is doubled. So as on today, 429.64 ppm of carbon dioxide has been there in our atmosphere. Even if you compare it last year, even in the last year, if you compare the carbon dioxide concentration, which is almost, you see, 426.51, that means every year we are seeing there is an increase in the carbon dioxide concentration, and because of its concentration is being increasing, the global warming is also increasing. Now, these are all some of the ecological impact due to the depletion of biodiversity. Then what are the threats to biodiversity? What are the threats that means how we are losing biodiversity and why biodiversity is becoming endangered day by day? So the first reason is deforestation and overgrazing. When you cut the trees, there will be no place for animals to live in. So thus there will be, if there is no secured place for animals, either they may migrate or they may die. So deforestation, overgrazing. So if anything, say if the plants are being continuously grazed, for example, if you allow the cattle to browse or graze in an open field of the forest or in the interior of the forest, they keep on eating the young juvenile shoot buds, sprouting material, etc. of the plants, and never allow the plants to grow at all. So thus deforestation and overgrazing is a major threat for losing the biodiversity. Another important reason for losing biodiversity is habitat destruction and fragmentation of the area. Habitat. What is habitat? The place of living of an entity, of an organism. Organism means any living entity is called organism. Plant or animal is called an organism. The place of living of an organism, you call it as habitat. Now, where do the tigers will live? Tigers will live in a deciduous forest. A fish will live in water. So their habitat, if at all, is going to be destructed, then we are going to lose them. So that is what is habitat destruction is a threat for biodiversity. It is not only habitat destruction, even fragmentation of the area. So whatever the area that is meant for biodiversity should be protected, it should be preserved. And if you keep on fragmenting the land, say suppose the area that is meant for forest, part of it, if at all, is being used for establishment of industries or construction of hydroelectric dams or projects, so something like that, or human dwellings or residential areas, something like that. If you keep on destructing and fragmenting the area, then biodiversity is going to be lost. It is going to be lost forever. And poaching and hunting for flesh, fur, skin, horn, nail, recreation, they are also going to lose. We are going to lose biodiversity. In other words, I will give you an example. In the year somewhere around 1900, the population of tiger in India was around 4,378 plus. In the year 1900, it was around 40,000, not 4,000, 40,000 plus population of the tiger. That is 40,000 plus individuals of tiger population was there in 1900. By the year 1972, its population has come down to around 3,782 plus. Okay, almost 3,780 plus by the year 1972. That means in a span of just 72 years, from 40,000, it was almost decreased to 3,780 plus. Then the scientists and other individuals, they made a representation to the then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, stating that the importance of tiger in the ecosystem is so and so, and we are losing its population, and this will be a threat. And then, knowing the importance of this role of tiger in our ecosystem, the Prime Minister made this animal as the national animal, and she is encouraged to start the Project Tiger. Project Tiger, which was enforced in the year 1973. So thus, today, if at all you are going to see any of the tigers being present, it's all because of that project that was enforced or put forth in the year 1973 by the then Prime Minister. Otherwise, by this time, we would have seen tiger only in a zoo or in a picture or in a movie. So it would have become extinct. So why this tiger population has come down from 40,000 to 3,000 plus? Because the people who are knowing the importance of this tiger, they used to kill this animal for every part of the tiger and they used to sell it, right? So illegally, they used to make the trade with the Chinese or Indonesians, etc. Because in the Chinese system of medicine and Indonesian system of medicine, every part of the tiger is used medicinally. Medicinally, it is got lot of importance. For example, the nose of a tiger, they used to take and prepare a medicine in Chinese system and Indonesian system of medicine. They used to prepare a medicine which is used to cure epilepsy, the disease epilepsy, Kushtaroga. Okay. So the hairs on the tiger, they used to make a medicine which is used to cure the burns. So they used to cure burns completely. Likewise, the testes of a tiger, they used to take and prepare a medicine which is used to cure the tuberculosis of lymph nodes in human beings, TB coiler. So the related, so that is used to be completely cured by using the medicine prepared out of the testis of tiger. So likewise, every part of the tiger, even the bones of the tiger, the bone powder they used to take and prepare a medicine that is used to cure the joint pains, arthritis and rheumatoid arthritis, like all these things are going to be cured by the medicines that is prepared out of the bones of the tiger. Okay. So likewise, the brain of the tiger, they used to take and prepare a medicine that is used to cure pimples on the face, and also the laziness used to be cured off. For that purpose, they used to prepare various tonic out of the brain of the tiger. So every part of the tiger was found to be medicinally important. And that is how some people wanted to mint money, and they used to hunt these animals, kill these animals, and illegally they used to trade it with Chinese and Indonesian system. So thereby, that is how we were losing this tiger population. Today, 1 kg of ivory, elephant ivory, costs about $2,500 to $3,000, right, in the international market. See, look at the enormous value. Even the horn of rhinoceros, one horn rhinoceros, Kazinanga, you are going to see. Rhinoceros, Kadgamruga, we call it as. So even that one also used to be killed. They used to sell it in the international market. So all these purpose, only for the sake of minting money, greediness. If you keep on killing all these animals, you are going to lose biodiversity. So this is used to be carried out by various people. And another threat for biodiversity is smoking. So one should not smoke in the woods. You enter a forest, keep on smoking, and without carefully tending your cigarette or BD or whatever that you are smoking, you will throw it. And if it is a summer season, if it is a deciduous forest, dry region, dry deciduous forest, immediately it catches the fallen leaves, branches, twigs, catches the fire and spreads to the entire forest. That is how the forest fire is going to be taking place. When forest fire is going to take place, because of the increased temperature, many organisms, small tiny organisms will die, and many bacteria or microbes will die, isn't it? Many animals will be threatened to die, and some will may migrate or move away. So that is how forest fire is going to have an adverse impact on the livelihood of biodiversity. And if the plants are burnt, there are many rare plants through which various medicines are going to be extracted. So that is going to be lost forever. So that we cannot recover it. So you cannot evolve a new species of a plant or an animal if at all it is going to get depleted because of the forest fire. Now, forest fire is not going to take place only because of what throwing of cigarettes or smoking or something else like that. Even sometimes by intentional forest firing also it will be taking place. How intentional forest fire is going to occur? For example, the smugglers or poachers or hunters, what they do, if the forest is a very vast area, at one end they lit the fire to the forest, and from the opposite end they want to take whatever that they want to take from the forest, that wealth they are going to loot it. So that is how, in order to disturb the attention of the forest officials, so they lit the fire at one end, and from the other end they want to smuggle the things. So that intentional forest fire also may takes place. And sometimes because of carelessness, when you go for a picnic on a tour, you go for campfire. So in a forest area, after seeing the beauty of the forest and nature, so you go for campfire. And after campfire, you do not bother to carefully tend the fire, and you will walk back. And if the careful tending of fire is not taken place, then it can spread to the entire forest area and may threat the life of many plants and animals. So thus, forest fire may take away the biodiversity. Sometimes in the forest department, due to hierarchical differences, always the top level officials boss over the lower officials. For example, a forester may boss over a guard, and a range forest officer may boss over a forester, and an ACF, Assistant Conservator of Forest, may boss over range forest officer. An ACF may be bossed over by DFO. Right. Likewise, at various hierarchical positions, sometimes there will be what we can say the sorry, 1 minute. So there will be the difference of opinion will be there. So thereby they are going to take revenge. The lower officials want to take the revenge against higher officials. They themselves apply leave and lit the fire through somebody to the forest. And if anybody higher authorities ask them to come on duty to tend the forest, they say we are on leave, we are not feeling well. Some reasons they will quote and say that they want to escape. They want to take revenge against their higher authorities. So it is because of their conflicts and misunderstandings also sometimes forest fire is going to break out. So thus, the cumulative effect is that the biodiversity is going to be lost due to a large amount of forest fire. A large quantum of land is going to be devastated with forest fire. Then another reason as to why we are going to lose biodiversity is over exploitation of the resources. We are not going to be happy with only whatever that we are having. We want to use as much as possible, as much as possible. So, for example, today, if I say a rosewood, right from sowing of a seed to a seedling and to give the best wood, it takes about 80 to 100 years or 120 years to mature. More than 80 to 100 years to mature and give you the best rosewood. But what we are doing is that everybody wants to take the rosewood for making furniture, dining table, making a show off. So your lifestyle is also has been changed. So why do you need a rosewood dining table or a rosewood dining chamber or a rosewood door, front side, back side, etc.? Because it is such a costliest wood, wherein it does not mean that you should not use. Even if you use at least one rosewood tree, you must have the ability to plant at least some tree saplings of the rosewood in the forested area or in any area. So instead of reforesting or afforesting any such species, you keep on cutting, means a day will come, you will not get no more rosewood. Now that is how the population of the good genetically superior stock of the rosewood today is not being available in our forests. So the Western Ghats, once upon a time, which was rich in this rosewood, is not at all now rich. It has become very poor in the population of rosewood because of over exploitation of the resources. So thus over exploitation of the resources is also threatening the biodiversity. Now natural calamities like floods, high wind velocities, earthquakes, etc., they also take away the biodiversity. So whenever flooding takes place, it is going to immerse the forest area, human dwellings, everything, and if at all it is going to remain for a long period of time, so the species may be lost. Plants may be rotten, animals may die. So likewise, various havocs will take place. So through which we are going to lose biodiversity. And regarding high wind velocities, tsunamis, earthquakes, I need not have to explain. When such things happen, we are going to lose biodiversity. That is another reason. Now, pollution of various kinds and release of toxic substances. So, this is the most dangerous anthropogenic activity that the world is facing. Wherever you go, we are seeing whether it is pollution plastics or domestic sewage plastic pollution or industrial waste pollution, anything like that. All possible types of pollution. We are polluting air, we are polluting soil, we are polluting water, we are polluting all possible habitats where we live in. So this is going to threaten the existence or survival of biodiversity. Whatever that is toxic may be toxic to the other animal. It may be toxic to the other plant. So why should we release such type of toxic substances into our environment? So this is where one should carefully look in. We should not start doing all these activities because this will definitely going to make a significant loss of biodiversity in our environment. And look at here, soil erosion and loss of nutrients. So if biodiversity, right, if the plants are cut, if the soil is get eroded, if the topsoil is eroded, and there will be no more nutrients, and it does not support the growth of vegetation. According to an estimate, a research report in a manual published by Tata Energy Research Institute, every year 5,300 million tons of fertile soil is eroded in India. 5,300 million tons of fertile soil is removed in India due to soil erosion. It may be due to wind erosion or it may be due to the water erosion by flooding. So this is going to threat the growth of vegetation and as well as the loss of biodiversity. Now mining activities and quarrying. See, look at when mining activities are taking place, you are going to explode the dynamites and by the sound of that dynamite, many animals are being threatened. Some of them will die also. And when you do this mining and quarrying activity, the dust and the other particles that are going to be given out or emanated, so they may get deposited on the plants. They may break the tender shoots, tender buds, and they may damage or even they get accumulated on the surface of the vegetation. So if the entire leaves are going to be covered with the dust, it does not going to produce food. So photosynthesis is not possible. So if photosynthesis has to take place, food synthesis has to take place, the solar radiations or the sun energy, sunlight should penetrate into the leaf. But the green leaf is covered with the soil particles or the minute particles. So how can we expect the radiations to enter into the leaf surface and produce the food energy? So that is not going to be possible. So thus, mining activities and quarrying also going to threat. If there are no food, automatically there will be no chance for survival of the animals. Population pressure and unequal distribution of the resources. So this is what is plaguing India. So we are good in increasing our population. Our geographical area is not increasing. We are having just 328.7 million hectares of the land, isn't it? That is what I told you in the beginning, the statistics. We are number one with our human population and cattle population. And whatever the resources that we are having, we are not going to share it. There is no equal distribution of our resources. Our land area is limited, that we should know. So when we do have, suppose you are 4 in a member, a 40 by 60 site of a house is sufficient for you to make a livelihood. But today, if you look at most of the individuals, they are having 3 sites, 4 sites, 5 sites. What for? What for you are going to keep this land with you and earn money? Do you think that whatever the money that you are going to deposit in bank will be there for your survival? So in the years to come, you are not going to eat money. You may not get materials also, even if you want to consume like that. See, all agricultural fields nowadays, all forested area land are being gradually we have encroached sufficiently. We are encroaching the land to such an extent that now whatever the land that is available, fertile land that is available for productivity is decreasing because we are making residential layouts or establishment of industries. For our greediness, we are converting the green land into concrete jungles. We are converting the green land into concrete jungles. So the best example nearby Mysore, if at all I can say, about 50 years or 60 years, here at the university campus nearby, there is an area called Bogade. So, which was very good with vegetation, right? Tree cover, everything. And even today, the soil is very, very fertile. Even today, for another 50 years, without adding any fertilizers, you can grow the crops. You can grow the crops that could have catered to the need of the Mysoreans. But instead of that one, what the people have done, somebody has suggested an agriculturist, hey, why do you toil in this hot sun and for a mere money of profit, why do you struggle day and night? So make it into layouts, convert it into residential layouts. So they convert it into layouts. So you can mint money and keep that money in your bank as deposit, and throughout the life, without going for agricultural field, you can eat what you can eat, what others can eat. They can eat only the cement, not any what productive, what materials that is possible. So in the sense, we are misleading the farmers, we are not encouraging the farmers, we are not protecting their productive land, and instead we are misguiding them and making them to convert their lands into the residential layouts. Now, what will you eat in the years to come? A banana which was costing about 1 rupees, 2 rupees, 5 rupees is costing nowadays. Earlier they used to give for 2 rupees one banana, dozen banana costing 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 30 rupees. Now it was changed over to kg. Now in kg they are going to give. Even mangoes also. Earlier they used to give in the form of what? The entire bag of mango fruits. Today they are weighing everything in terms of kg. So likewise, we are reaching. In other words, we are decreasing with our population increase. We are decreasing our land area for growing the crops, whether it is food crops or the fruit crops. So we are decreasing. And whatever the land area we are having, we do not have the equal distribution of these resources, whether it is a land or a food resource or anything else. So everything we want to cut it and want to dump it in our backyard. So tomorrow whether it is available or not. See, suppose today the mango costs about say instead of 80 rupees, 100 rupees, if somebody says 20 rupees is per kg, everybody wants to make a huge crime, makes gunny bags together and fill it in their refrigerator. Tomorrow whether it is going to be available or not, like that, to fill it the entire thing, gunny bag of mangoes you will take and dump it in your refrigerator and in your home. But you do not know whether you are going to leave the next day or not. That is what is the greediness of the people. So thereby we are not, that means we are not allowing other people principle of leave and let live. So that is what is the unequal distribution of the resources is a major threat of biodiversity. If somebody says this green leafy material is good for curing diabetes, all diabetic people will go and make a mad rush and eradicate the entire plant. That the plant should not regenerate in that area. So likewise, we are over exploiting even such type of things. So that is going to be the main cause for loss of biodiversity. Construction of hydroelectric power projects. See, of course, it may be a political or whatever it may be, what we can say, the steps that has been taken by. We have seen many such dams being constructed in the name for construction for holding the water, whether it is Mekedatu or Ethinavale or that project or this project and all these things. Millions and millions of rupees you are spending. Why you are spending so much of millions of rupees? You want to say that you want to hold the water together. Instead of spending so much of money, why didn't you encourage the people to protect the forest, make afforestation, reforestation and protect their natural areas, so that let the good, when there is a good precipitation or rainfall, let the rain water may be held in the pools, ponds, lakes, rivers, streams. So that could have been held together. But instead of storing that one, instead of encouraging the other areas also to have a more greenery or more vegetation, so we are spending so much huge millions of rupees on the construction of these things. And most of these hydroelectric power projects, they want to construct in the heart of the forest area, because that there will be water resources, and they do not bother about whether it is a small herbaceous plant. If it dies, well, nothing will happen. If it submerges, if it rots, if a small animal, if somebody aquatic animals, if they die, let them go. Remember, if human beings today, they are surviving, they are because of all these, from small creatures to the other individuals of plants and animals which were there in the ecosystem. So it is through the genetic process of evolution, so the man has been evolved. So forgetting as to how he has been evolved, so he wanted to eradicate. And also, most of the plants and animals, as I told you, 80% of the world population is dependent upon the plants and animals of the nature or the natural ecosystems for their medicine. Okay. So one example I would like to tell you, that Kaiga power plant was established nearby Dandeli. So way back in the 1980s, and I have seen the plant, I have seen the area before the establishment of Kaiga power plant. So what was the forest? What was the wealth of that forest? What were the rare species of plants and animals for various diseases and for various purposes that would have come to the service of mankind? But today, once the dam was established, all these things have been submerged and many species have become extinct. Not even a single species is being available. One example I would like to tell you, even from, for example, in Shumaga district, I have seen there was a plant called Ravalfia serpentina, Sarpagandha in Kannada it is used to call. So reserpine, an alkaloid, is going to be extracted, and from the roots of that one, they used to prepare a medicine that is used to cure blood pressure, and also they used to prepare a medicine that is used to cure snake bites. So this plant was growing like a grass at many places in the land area of the Shivamogga district. Today, even if you scan the entire district, you may not get even a single plant. If you are going to die with blood pressure, let you die. If you are going to be bitten by a snake and snake bite, if you want to, let them die. Who did it? It is the people, it is the we people who did it in the name of urbanization, industrialization, without knowing the importance and without bothering to know about the importance of this plant. We have bulldozed or eradicated successfully this particular plants. That is how we have lost our biodiversity. Likewise, many species we have lost, and we are going to lose still more if we are not going to be awakened to protect our biodiversity. Agricultural expansion. See, look at here. Now you have converted agricultural land into residential layout. Where do you want to carry out agriculture? Because you need bread and butter, isn't it, for your livelihood. So now you start slowly encroaching the forest land. So when you start slowly encroaching the forest land, now whatever the land that is meant for the animals like tiger, elephant, cheetah, leopards, etc., where they should go? Naturally, when there is the deficiency of the shelter place or the hiding place or breeding ground for these animals, so they enter into the urban areas. So in search of food, for example, if an elephant or if any tiger enters in search of the food, because naturally when the herbivore animals do not get whatever they require in a forest, they enter into the urban areas. And when these herbivores enter into the urban areas, that will be followed by carnivores like tiger and other leopards to see in search of food material. And when they enter into the urban areas, we make a hue and cry, oh, kill the elephant, oh, kill the leopard. Actually, it is you who have disturbed their habitat. It is you who have encroached their habitat. You who have disturbed their homes. You who have disturbed their food resources. Then, when you can disturb their food resources, their sheltering place, they too also are having the equal right to destroy the human population. So that is how the human-animal conflict has arisen. Human-animal conflict has arisen. When you don't have the right to live, when you say that the animals don't have the right to live, you also don't have the right to live. That is what the animals should experience. But thankfully, we should see that animals do not have that much of thinking power of taking the revenge on you people. So they just come in search of water or for food. So this is because of you have converted the agricultural land into residential layout, started encroaching the area in forest for agriculture. So agricultural expansion. So thereby you have lost your biodiversity. So likewise, establishment of the industries, urbanization, right, agriculture expansion in total. So they are going to make to lose the biodiversity. Climatic changes like depletion of ozone, right, global warming, increased concentration of carbon dioxide. So they are also going to threaten. So if there is a sudden temperature, so suppose your body temperature is 98.4 degree Fahrenheit. If there is 1 degree temperature rise, you feel that you are having fever. If there is 0.1 degree temperature less, you feel that you are feeling cold. So, and you will not be active. Only if your body temperature is 98.4 degree Fahrenheit, you will be normally active. If the temperature is increased, you feel that fever, you will not be active at all. You can't do any work. So you just imagine when in your environment, because of cutting of the trees, releasing of toxic substances, depletion of ozone layer, increased greenhouse gases, when you increase the temperature of the surface of the earth, how the animals and plants could adjust, how they have to survive, with whom they can go and express. So this is what, so they are going to die. So no, we are interested in only the human individuals and human race. What about the other species that are present in our surrounding? We do not bother about it. So thus we are going to lose biodiversity. Lack of awareness. So we say always lack of awareness, biodiversity should be protected. Oh, only the environmentalists should protect, only forest people should protect. Do you think that only the environmental people will going to respire? It is only the forest people who are going to respire and eat the food. Why not the other people? Are they not going to respire oxygen? Are they not going to consume oxygen? Ask during Corona the patients what is the value of oxygen. They will tell you a single tree is capable of giving 5.3 lakhs worth of oxygen in 50 years. A single tree. If at all anybody wants to know the value of oxygen, ask a Corona patient. They will tell you what is the value of oxygen. So that we do not bother about. Simply we keep on destroying. And for whom we should want to create awareness? We say the local, always we put the blame on the tribal people who are dwelling in the forest. If at all any forests are surviving throughout the globe or in India, it is because of the people who are living in the forest, who are making their livelihood in the forest very naturally from their ancestors, the tribal people. It is because of them today the forests are surviving, because they are not greedy to cut the trees and what, harvest it for their what, minting money or making sites or purchasing cars or for purchasing vehicles. They do not have this what, modernized, ultra modernized, extravagant life. They don't want to lead. A tribe who is really settled very well in the forest, he wants only peace of mind, bread and butter for that particular day. That's all he knows, right? And it is the so-called civilized, so-called educated, so-called literates who are destroying the forest. So now for whom we should create the awareness? So it is for you to think over. Now, what are all the solutions to all these problems? Now, I told you, just in brief, I told you what are all the threats to biodiversity. Now you tell me, what are the solutions to all these problems? How we can overcome this? So you should maintain the integrity of the habitat. Habitat has to be protected. Don't go by word of all these sentences which I am displaying. Just I am telling you the meaning of the conservation measure. So how we can protect biodiversity? So maintenance of the integrity of the habitat, the place where we live, where a species live, where a living entity lives. So that habitat should be improved. So quality wise, and also its associated organisms. So you should not destroy its habitat so that they can reproduce very well. Suppose an area is meant for tiger or for a forest, or for an elephant, don't disturb that habitat it is, so that they can produce well, they can grow well, isn't it? We don't have any right to poke our nose into the homes of the wild animals. If wild animals poke their nose into your residential area, do you feel keep quiet? It's the same attitude. It is the same attitude that we should think. Prevention and control of forest fire. So intentionally or unintentionally, by chance, if at all any forest fire has broken out, so immediately it should be what? Controlled. It should be tended. So campfire should be carefully tended. One should not smoke in the woods. Now, people are having this fascination, smoking. Smoking and randomly throwing without carefully tending their cigarette or BDs, etc. And I don't know what is the fun that they are going to derive out of it. Do you know, by a single cigarette smoke, more than 480 plus carcinogenic chemicals they are releasing into environment, cancer inducing chemicals. All possible types of cancer, all possible type of cancer inducing chemicals are being released into the environment during smoking. But in spite of these things, people have got fascination. Anyway, for how long we are going to live, we shall enjoy by smoking. That is what they want to do. That's why the rate of cancerous patients is also increasing in India. Globally also it is increasing. Now that is what. So we say education. And if you go in the interior of the tribal, in a forest, he do not smoke. Remember, he does not smoke. Even BD, rarely they take BD. Or even that one also they won't smoke. Actually, they were not aware of these things. Only when they interact with the urbanized or semi-urbanized people, they come to know about these things. It is the urbanized or semi-urbanized people who has spoiled their what? Ethics of living. Ethics of living. So I got sufficient evidences through my experience over the past 32 years when I was in the wild, when I was in the forest, because my area of research was in the field of forestry, right from the Western Ghats tip of Kanyakumari up to Himalayas. I have explored many areas. Many years I have spent. So I have seen, I have interacted. If I respect today's for present forest cover, I respect basically the tribal people who are in the interior of the forest. So they are the one who are really, I will tell you, the real human beings, the real cultured individuals. And if at all it has been disturbed, it is because of the so-called literates who have disturbed them. Okay, now control of forest fire and excessive cutting should be eliminated. So excess of any material should not be made. That is, you should not cut too much of trees, and whatever that is sufficient for you, because the average lifespan of an Indian is supposed to be around 62.5 years as compared to an American who lives around 82 to 83 years. So you are going to live for hardly 63 years as an average, then why do you want to make use of all these natural resources in an uncontrolled manner? You are going to overexploit it, so to say. So excessive cutting should not be made, and by chance you use any of the tree species for any purpose, try to grow a new seedling or a sapling of the harvested plant material. So that is another means by which you can conserve the biodiversity. Fragmentation, whatever the area that is meant for a particular purpose like forest or a wildlife habitat, so you should not be fragmented, right? Either for your agriculture purpose or industrial purpose or residential layouts, etc. Because if you keep on doing this, the biodiversity is decreasing, right? The productivity is decreasing. Then protection of forest from illicit felling and overgrazing. So illegal trading, illegally allowing the cattle to enter into the forest area and graze it. So that should not be carried out. And wherever there is possible, you should see that the germplasm bank. Here I am using the word germplasm bank. What is germplasm? That is any material which is capable of producing new individual from a plant or an animal, any material from which you are going to capable of producing a new individual is called a germplasm. So spore, seed, spore is a germplasm, seed is a germplasm, root cutting is a germplasm, stem cutting is a germplasm, fruit may be a germplasm. So that means any material from which a new plant or a new animal can be able to be produced is called germplasm. So such germplasm banks should be established for protection of the species and for future breeding program. Now, if the principles and procedures of social forestry are followed, the stress on the exploitation of renewable forest resource can be minimized. What do you understand by the term social forestry? We always say social forestry means the greening of the earth, greening of the land, planting program. In simple words, it is a planting program. So reforestation or afforestation. So wherever there is wasteland, we want to grow the trees. Actually, Westoby is a name of a scientist who coined this term social forestry. Westoby. Okay. Now, the principle of the social forestry is so beautiful. So, the real concept of social forestry is aimed at growing of the tree crops, in the wastelands, according to the need of the people, in their vicinity, in their area. So, if at all the people are in their area are in need of firewood, you should grow such type of plants which can give you continuously firewood in that area, wasteland, wherever the wasteland is available in your area. Suppose you are in need of fruits, you should grow fruits. If you are in the need of medicinal plants, you go for this. If you are in need of all these three, plan it in such a way that all the three types should be grown. So that is what is the concept of social forestry. It is aimed at growing of the tree crops in the wastelands or the lands available in the local areas, involving the local people to meet their requirements and to improve their economy, and while planting or other activities in social forestry has to take place, you should always appoint the local people in say seed germination, seed bedding, nursery, fencing, digging, fencing. For all these things, the local people should be involved. And when the plants have been grown, when it comes to the harvesting stage, so when you harvest the plants, that has to be distributed among the people of that area only. It should not be taken elsewhere and marketed. It should be distributed among the people of that area. If you grow in excess or if it is in surplus, then it can be marketed elsewhere, and the profit that is going to be derived out of that once again should be reinvested in the same area. Once again, it should be reinvested in the same area. That is what is the concept of social forestry. But today, what we are doing is that Vana Mahotsav or planting program means even in colleges or institutions. For example, in your colleges or institutions or in your residential layouts, if at all there is a wasteland, grow such type of plants, which is either aesthetically, if you want, or if it is fruits, or if it is shelter giving, or if it is purifying the air, grow such type of plants. For example, in university campus, we have grown all possible such type of trees. Way back in 91, more than 600 to 800 saplings, I could take the lead to plant it in our university campus. Today, they have all been grown into like very large trees. I am very happy to look at it. Similarly, in Regional Institute of Education campus area, I went there and instrumental in carrying out the planting program. And also similarly at Chikmagalur district and Shivamogga district, rural areas, I went there and practically planted. Even in Karnataka University campus, which was once again a barren area around the campus, today if you go, it looks like as if you are entering the campus amidst of a forest. So we did it. I did it. I'm proudly saying. The reason is because, see, at least if you can create that type of environment, many birds will come, many butterflies will come, people will enjoy, it purifies the air in the vicinity, and it will be useful for the mankind. So that should be the concept of social forestry. But today what we are doing, in our institution college, yes, we shall celebrate planting program. We invite a guest, isn't it? Some VIP we are going to, yes. And you will make some pit, you bring some sapling, you bring some seedling or sapling, and everybody will hold that twig like this, and everybody will pose for photos, and you will plant it, water it, and the guest will go that side, he will go this side, plant will sleep on other side. That's all. Program is over. That should not be the concept of social forestry. Once you plant a sapling, care should be taken that till it is going to establish, till it is going to develop into a mature individual, it should be the bound duty of the people in that area to take care of that. That is what is the concept of social forestry. More than 16.9 percentage of the land area in India is available as a wasteland. And in Karnataka, about 6.8 of the total geographical area of the Karnataka, 6.8% of the land area is wasteland in Karnataka. See, if all these wasteland is made into a productive land or a green land, you need not have to depend upon the natural forest to meet your requirements. So you can naturally conserve the forest and you can meet your requirements for timber, forest, furniture, or for anything. You can depend upon instead of depending upon the forestry products. So that is what is the concept of social forestry. So that has to be adopted if you want to conserve the biodiversity. Now, rare species, endangered or endemic species should be protected, and bamboos, for example, it is the energy plantation. So such plantation should be established, and improper land mining, degradation of the land due to mining activities should be stopped, and control of soil erosion by growing more and more trees or vegetative cover, especially with the fruit plants. If you can do it, it can act as a food resource for many wild animals. So that has to be established, and you should very judiciously and sensibly use the forest products, and efforts should be intensified to curb the destructive activity of the poachers who do this illegal trading of the animals and the wildlife. So that should be checked and controlled, and water level in the pools and ponds should be maintained. You should stabilize, especially during the summer, So during summer, especially in the forest areas, if the ponds, pools, etc. gets dried up, animals will not be able to get water. So they start moving, migrating, or they may die also. Even many fishes will die. Aquatic animals will die. Even the birds will struggle for getting the water resources. Now, for example, in front of your house, there is a tree. During summer, put some bag or some pots and something else, you can tie it and put water so that some birds will at least come and drink water. So likewise, in a natural forest area, you should try to maintain the water level. If you want to maintain the water level, the tree cover in that area should not be disturbed. The tree should not be harvested. The tree should not be felled. So that is what is stabilization of water levels. So they are all going to protect the biodiversity. And while doing so, of course, many programs, many what we can say steps have been taken by government and non-government organizations, like establishment of biosphere reserves, wetlands, national parks, national sanctuaries, sacred groves. So all these things are the means by which biodiversity is going to be protected. Sacred groves. So that means the region where you are going to worship the god or goddess in a particular forest area, and you want to protect the material in that forest. You don't want to use that product for any purpose outside. So such sacred groves are present, and Karnataka is rich in sacred groves, especially Markera. Markera is having Madikeri, Shumaga, Chikmagalur. They are having very good number of sacred forests. So sacred groves. So that should be protected, because if you protect them, that means you are protecting the biodiversity. They are helpful in many ways, and you should have educational programs to promote the knowledge of why we have to protect biodiversity, what's its importance, So if biodiversity are going to be lost, what will happen? So to create this awareness, so through literature, through scientific exhibitions, through various conferences, you can create awareness among the people, literate or illiterate, educated or uneducated. You can definitely what? Take up these steps to what? Make an appeal and to make an awareness among the people to educate them about the importance of biodiversity. So for that, it is not single man's job. It is the duty of everyone, team of scientists from all possible disciplines like botany, zoology, engineering, silviculture, economics, everyone, even administrators, forest lovers, everyone should be integrated. They should be bound together in managing, promoting, and implementing conservation programs. So otherwise, and even for conservation program to implement, India has become a member of IUCN and also World Wildlife Fund. So by becoming a member, you get expertise how to conserve a species, how to protect an ecosystem. Funds you may get, technology you may get, expertise you may get. So all these things are possible if you are a member for all these things. In addition to that, there is a strict law, Environment Wildlife Protection Act, Biological Diversity Act 2002. All these things are there. Pollution Control Act is there. With all these things, still we are losing biodiversity. There is strict legislation. Then there are very good legislation. There are very good what we can say laws. Why? Because we are not strictly enforcing this legislation to punish the guilty, and ethics movements. Narmada Bachao Andolan, Appiko movement, Chipko movement by Sundarlal Bahuguna, we have seen. Meda Padkar, Narmada Bachao Andolan, we have seen. But all such type of movements are like just like a drop in an ocean, or like just like a drop in ocean. For example, Pandurang Hegde led the front for Save the Western Ghats March. Save the Western Ghats March. But above all these things, it should be the ethics of the individual that is most important. What is ethics? Ethics means you should follow the principle. That means, and I will still tell you, you should have a stewardship ethics. What is stewardship ethics? Who is a steward? Steward is a slave. If I ask anybody that are you a steward, everybody will be angry. Huh? He is asking that am I a slave? Steward means he is a slave. A slave is the one who takes care of the property of his master that does not belong to him. He is called a steward. Steward is the one who takes care of the property of his master that does not belong to him. That is, that does not belong to this steward. He is a slave. He takes care of the property in his absence. Now, how sincere he is when his master is not there, till the master is going to return, he will take care of all the property of his master in such a way that nothing is going to be harmed, nothing is going to be endangered. So that is called stewardship ethics. Now, we should be like stewards. We should be like stewards because we do not have any property. In this world, the air is not your property. Water is not your property. Soil is not your property. Forest and wildlife is not your property. It is the property of the nature. He is the master. We are all the slaves. We should take care of this property very carefully without affecting it, without harming it. That is called stewardship ethics. So one should have that stewardship ethics. What is sustainable development? Judicious utilization of your resources, judicious utilization of your natural resources without compromising the ability of the future generation. So whatever that you are going to store it, preserve it, keep it for the future, that should be available for the future generation. So in such a manner, you should what judiciously use it. To achieve that one, you should have a harmonious integration, a sound relationship with your economy. So with your responsible governance, you should not boss over everybody. You should have a loveful governance, understanding governance, social cohesion, without caste, creed, region, religion, without such barriers. You should come together to protect biodiversity, to protect everything, and you should have an ecological integrity. If put in all these things, then life is possible in a healthy manner, in a happy manner. So there should be a harmonious relationship between man and his environment to achieve this sustainable development. So in other words, sustainable development is nothing but the addition, that is the integration of economic development, environmental protection, and social reformation and people's empowerment. So if all these things are going to be integrated, then you can expect sustainable development. Because each parameter you can speak hours and hours together about economic development as to how it can lead to sustainability, environmental protection, how it can lead to sustainability. Likewise, I am just telling you in a telegraphic manner that with all these parameters, you can achieve sustainable development. So sustainable development, to put it very simply and crisply and shortly, it means that judicious utilization of your natural resources, keeping in view of the future generation, wherein you have to have a harmonious relationship between you and your environment. Otherwise, after cutting a forest and killing an animal, you say we are going to study about what would be the impact of environment. So this attitude should not be there. So see, look at here. The mother bird will take care of the young ones for its nutrition, for its shelter, for its protection, habitat, everything it will take care of. So likewise, so it is not only for ourselves, we should also take care of our fellow individuals. So it is not only this individual, even if anybody is harboring on you, you should also carry them to see that if you do not harm, that will also not harm. So you should follow that principle of live and let live. And it has been said that life has been originated in water. Life is originated in water about millions and millions of years ago. Then came slowly the land animals, right? Then this type of animal like monkeys. Then from this, man appears to be evolved like this, and this is the modern man. And this modern man, through his pollution and other anthropogenic activities, deforestation, depletion of biodiversity, is causing global warming. When global warming takes place, what happens? Temperature increases. When the temperature of the surface increases, the ice caps, glaciers, everything will melt. When they melt, the melted ice, water will go where? It will go and join the sea. Sea level rises. When the sea level rises, the land mass submerges. When the land mass submerges, you are in the species who are living on the land, you will also submerge. That means the place from where you have been originated, you are going back to the same place from where you have originated only through your activities. So that should not happen. So that means if you want to live in the years to come in this nature, so you should keep yourself and your environment in a good relationship, a happy relationship, a harmonious relationship. Otherwise, you will add one more species to the list of endangered species, that is Homo sapiens, isn't it? Hope you understand what I mean. If you do not protect your environment, you will add one more species to the list of endangered species, that is Homo sapiens. Thank you all for your patient listening. And though it is a very, very vast topic and it should be dealt at length and breadth, I wanted to give you the glimpse of this concept of biodiversity and conservation. So I